and it's these weeds. There's a lot of weeds here that grow on both sides of my driveway. And the driveway, as you can see, if I'll pan down here, it's quite long. So I've been thinking about my problem of how to trim the weeds that are growing on the edges of my driveway. And, how am I going to do that without going out and buying a bush hog or something, some expensive piece of equipment? Because the problem is, on the edge of the driveway, it drops off. You can't put some wheels like this, little tiny wheels on the edge, because there are rocks there and bumps there and uneven ground. So a lawnmower like this, you couldn't maneuver it through there. But then I got to thinking, if you had something like a hoverboard, like on Back to the Future, get yourself a hoverboard, and if you can attach it to the lawnmower somehow and hover over that and maybe keep it about that high off the ground, that'd be perfect. Well, since I couldn't figure out how to come up with a hoverboard, well, I thought, how do you come up with that for the movie so it looks like it? And I thought, hey, if I could just put a boom or something on this, and then I've got a tractor back there. Now, most of you may not have a tractor, but if you have some property like this, you probably do. But I was thinking, if I use that tractor and maybe use the front loader and put a beam on it somehow to hook onto this, that'd be how they do it in the movies. That's how they make things look like the hoverboard thing for the most part, unless they use computer graphics or something. But in the old days, they would tie something to it that you couldn't see when they photographed it, but yet it's held on the side, that lifts things up and down and so forth and so on. So if I could tie something to this, a beam or something, and then tie it on the front of that front loader bucket, I could use that as my maneuvering thing, and I could use that as my hoverboard mechanizer, if you will, for this. So the idea would is to put a beam across here, attach it to the front loader, and then use the front loader to make it go up and down so that I could keep this about this high off the ground or whatever I wanted, and all I'd have to do is keep the tractor somewhere near the edge, but not in the edge where it'd fall off too, and that ought to work. So then I'm thinking, okay, can I do that? How could I do that? I think I'm halfway there. Let me show you. So I'm looking at this tractor, and I'm wondering, how could I hook something up to this? What's the easiest way? And then I thought, there's a flat edge on the bottom here, and I thought, if I could get a board or something, I could easily clamp it on the bottom and then have it stick out a little ways, either this side or the other side, and then that's how I could hook it up to the lawnmower. And then you can position the lawnmower any way you want, just with the bucket positioning equipment that it's got. It's got a little up and down, and this bucket dumps, and so you can put it in any position you want, and it's right out in front of you, so you can see what's going on and make adjustments as you have to. And like I say, you can get some big clamps and clamp something on the bottom and have it stick out. That should work. Then all you got to do is figure out how to hook it up to the lawnmower. Well, okay, so now back to the lawnmower. I'm going to have to do this just plain old redneck style, because I don't want to take it apart. You see, it's got this interlock up here that keeps it going, and you have to start it by pulling on the starter rope, and I don't want to modify it that much. I want to be able to use this, and then if I don't need it, anymore for the driveway, just use it for lawnmower again. Because for the driveway, I might just use it once a season, maybe twice. So the first thing I thought was, okay, if I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to have to bolt something down here. And so what I did was I measured where the center of gravity is. And the way I did that was I put a board underneath it, a taller board, and basically, moved it back and forth this way until I got it to balance. And it seems like the center of gravity is right along here. And that's with leaving the, the handles on and everything. So I thought, well, that's pretty handy, because right along here, there's a good surface here to put some bolts in and tie some kind of a beam to it, and that way when you pick it up, you know, it's not trying to twist real hard. It's kind of balanced. So that would help. So now, what can I do to find a beam? What kind of a beam can I use, and how can I hook it up to this lawnmower? So let's figure that out here. Well, as I was rummaging around trying to find what I could use, you know, junk laying around here, son of a gun, look what I found. Look at this. Now what this is a piece of aluminum. It's a 2" by 2", I think 1/8" walls. I'll show you the end there. And this is left over from a project I did quite a long time ago. Yeah, it's 1/8" walls, so it's pretty strong. Strong enough for that anyway. And it's about roughly 10 feet long. So, you know, now some of you may not have junk like this laying around, but a 2x4 might work. But I like this because it's metal. You can drill in it, and you can tighten things down pretty good. And so this is what I'm going to use. So the other thing is, let me show you what I'm talking about, why it would work so good. Now, for one thing, I think this would work just great because, getting it behind me, you can see how simple it would be to clamp this to the bottom of the bucket, the front loader here. Look how easy that would be. Just get some nice big clamps and clamp it on there, because the bottom here is flat, so it'd be a nice flat surface. How to hook it up to the lawnmower? I've got this little piece of that same kind of stock, and as you can see, look at that. It fits nicely right across here. So if I just took that big bar over there, drilled holes in this, and then drilled holes in the frame here of the lawnmower, just enough to put some bolts up through it and bolt onto this, hey, that's all you'd have. And then you'd pick it up here where the center of gravity is, and then, you know, with the bucket you could tilt it or make it go up and down, and that would be your hoverboard, is the tractor with that beam. So let's build it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is use this little piece of stock as a template. And what that means is I'm going to drill a hole through both sides about where I want it, and then drill the hole to match through the lawnmower. Transfer what I drill in here to that big bar, and this should work. So here we go. Let's start here. It's right up there, right up here against this is where I'm going to do it. Okay, maybe you can see looking down through there, I've got a hole drilled through both sides of this piece of stock. Now I'll take the drill and we'll drill down through the lawnmower housing here. Okay, so now there you can see there's a hole here and a hole there, and they match the holes there and the hole there. So what we got to do is transfer this template over to that big beam over there, and then I've got to get the right size bolts. I got to go to the hardware store and put them through there and bolt it up. Remember, I drilled these holes on the end. You can probably see them there. And I'm going to lay this down here. And then I'm going to bolt these up. Okay, so there we are. We're bolted up to the lawnmower. Now let's go get the tractor back over there and bring the front loader up and see if we can bolt that onto the bucket loader. Okay. Well, we're all bolted up, and I do have to admit it's a little shaky for what I really like, but let's see how it lifts. These clamps are pretty big, and it appears to be stable. So I guess what I'll do is start it up and go down the mountain and see what we got. One thing I was worried about is, you see the front here, I was worried if I might have to, cut this off so that the grass can get in there, but I'm kind of thinking that won't matter. So we'll try it like it is, and I'll try to film some on the way down. So here we go. Well, okay, I'm back from the first test run, and what I can say is conceptually it works, but the real tall weeds, this isn't really as effective as I'd like it to be, and I think what it is what I thought beforehand. Right there in the front where there's the blade guard, you know, that little skirt that goes all the way around the cutting blade, I think what that does is that bends over the tall weeds, and it kind of keeps them bent over too long for the blade to get a good cut at it. The ability to adjust the height is really key because, like I said, the driveway here is really uneven and really bumpy, and you know, there's all kinds of things on the side. That really helps. So this thing is highly maneuverable that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the front of this mower off so that the weeds can just get in there and hit that blade before it hits that guard, and see if that makes a difference. We'll do that next and see if that changes things. I have made some modifications here, and I don't know if you remember, at first I said I'd like to be able to use this as a lawnmower, to remove it and use it as a lawnmower occasionally. Well, it's not going to be a lawnmower anymore, because as you see, what I've done is I've cut the front of it off here, and the blade now sticks out of the front about that far. And the reason is because when I was mowing on the first run, the tall weeds would just kind of get pushed over, and the blade never seemed to hit them. So that was a problem. The other thing I did, which was kind of minor, I cut off the end of this rod here, because I didn't see any advantage to actually having a reversible on both sides. So anyway, so we're going to check it for gas and try it again. See how she runs this time. Well, the verdict, it does much, much better when you cut the front of it off like I have. The blade sticks out a little bit from the front. Let's look right down on it. You can see that blade sticks out a little bit. That makes all the difference. So as wide as that is, or at least that opening, it cuts everything down, and it don't matter how tall it is. It only bogged down once, and that's because I was going too fast. And anyway, it works quite well. So there you go, redneck bush cutter.